So, for everybody who missed it, here is a wonderful article written by Brendan Sinclair. It details a bunch of personal stories related to people who are, I guess, currently employed at Twitch and people who were employed in the past. And this conversation, and the reason why I want to start with this article is because we're on this platform. Y'all know that I withdrew from the affiliate program because of some past experiences related to Twitch's behavior and how they handled certain situations related to like the sexual assault allegations that happened back in June, and a lot of stuff related to that. And the reason why I feel like this is important is because this conversation, like, a lot of people are involved with Twitch, whether you're a viewer or a content creator, and I feel like a lot of questions kind of come up with this on like, what do we do with this information? Like, how do we be productive? Like, what are the things we can do? And I really think the biggest thing we can do related to this stuff is talk about it, and then obviously hold Twitch accountable in a way for it. So I'm just gonna put the I think this is set up. Yeah, there we go. So this article from Game Industry Biz, this just has a recounting of past and present Twitch staff. And all of these are allegations. They're not founded, so please take all of this with a grain of salt. However, it does explain to me, if these things are true, why we're seeing so many issues related to Twitch's accountability, how they handle bans, how they handle the whole sexual assault allegations, how they handle racism, how they handle, and when I say bans, I'm talking about not even just for serious things, like how they handle bans related to like sexual harassment. I know that we've had in the past, there was a lot of issues with Fork Girl is somebody who I think of immediately. She was a body painter who's been banned more than once related to her body painting, and she's followed guidelines to a T. There's been no communication from Twitch related to her bans, even though she's been able to appeal them and get back on the platform. So I'm just going to read a few quotes here, and basically I'll leave you all to read the article yourselves. But basically the highlights for this, it's me and Lee were talking about this prior to the show being started, but it's very easy to read this and simply say, oh, I knew Twitch was bad. Oh, look at this symptom. Look at this terrible behavior. Look at how terrible this is. But without addressing like the core issue of what we feel this could be addressed in. And again, setting the expectation that, you know, me and Lee are not experts. We just have a long history of working and personal experience to draw from. So this is our own perspective. Please take that with a grain of salt. And of course, if you'd like to answer the question tonight, you know, how did you deal with or cope with a toxic work environment? Just type in !toxic. You'll see that question pop up. And that way you can kind of like frame it around it. I want you to mull over before you actually answer that question, because it is an in-depth one. So I'm just going to read this, some of these quotes verbatim. So yeah, a lot of these people, they were hesitant for years to share their story because of the events that happened to them during their employment at Twitch. But the most recent events and Twitch's statement on Twitter, they felt that they were compelled to share and speak out against the blatant lies that Twitch is talking about creating a safe community. And they put that in quotes. So pretty nuts stuff. So I'm just going to go through here. So Twitch repeatedly swept accounts of harassment and abuse under the rug, sexual, verbal, physical abuse, and racism, and not just my own. So this is a recounting. So this employee made it clear she had nothing to gain by coming forward, but felt it was important to hold Twitch accountable for its actions and lack thereof. She goes on to say, Twitch repeatedly swept accounts of harassment and abuse under the rug, sexual, verbal, physical abuse, and racism. And not just my own, it took place in the office, at events, in meetings, and behind closed doors. It was rampant and unavoidable. We heard about it in the halls. We saw it at our desks. It was overt and part of the job, which is fucking crazy. for somebody to say, like, right out the gate, okay? For that to be an expectation for a work environment, and to be like, oh, I'm going into this knowing that's the case, that's
fucked up.
It's real fucked up, okay? So in the months since, this article details 16 Twitch employees from every era of the company, dating back to when it was Justin TV, and they range from, like, a few said that they never saw anything of the sort in their time with the company. Most of them had stories confirming different aspects of the original employees' allegations. And they approached Twitch themselves to get a word. And so when they told Twitch that they heard from those employees, a spokesperson from the company replied, "We take any allegations of this nature extremely seriously, whether on our service or within our own company, and work swiftly to investigate, address them as appropriate. Any suggestions in the contrary misrepresent our culture, leadership, and values." Many of these allegations are years old, and we've taken numerous steps to better protect and support our employees and community, and we will continue to invest time and resources in this area. So, essentially what that was their statement as to, these allegations and what was said by these former employees and current employees. To be honest, as somebody who's, like, watched Twitch repeatedly fuck up over and over again, when I say fuck up, it's a lot of talking and no walking. They're implementing features without involving their content creators. They have a safety advisory board of people on Twitch, partners that they designated as part of the safety advisory board that were supposed to advise them about how to make the platform safer. There's been no transparency or communication about what that entails, what they've been doing, what they've been working on, only that they've made a committee. So far, it doesn't seem like any of that's working. The first quote here that I'm going to read, and this will be, I'm guessing from the Justin TV days, because it dates back to 2014. So the quote is, "No one really took women seriously there," which is a fucking crazy thing to say. So one of the most common assertions they heard among the 16 Twitch employees that they had talked to was that Twitch is not a welcoming environment for women, with one saying the company demonstrated an explicit tolerance for misogyny. It was a boys' club. Another woman said working there was a definite bias, a definite sense that females and males were different and females weren't given the same opportunities they were prey. One early employee recalled an atmosphere of casual sexism in the office that ranged from ignorance to outright misogyny. Another said it was common to hear women referred to as bitches in the office. Future VP of Partnerships, John Howell, was well known inside and outside the company by his Twitter handle, John's Fat Cock, which is such a great, pristine Twitter handle. God. He changed his username as Twitch grew, but it was known enough as an entity that someone re-registered the name in 2014 with a user profile explaining John went all corporate and left his legendary handle behind.
That's crazy.
Yes. And I mean, I honestly, like, what you're seeing are, like, it's an archaeological thing, right? So you're seeing, like, a representation of the past ideologies that people may have held and could still be present if they're at the company. You know what I mean? Especially if they're older, because we all know, like our congressman, there are a lot of biases that you carry for a long period of time, especially long after you're done, with, like, that period of your life sort of thing. So in 2014, Amazon acquired Twitch for $970 million, which multiple people, they spoke out as a division between eras in the company, meaning like a new chapter started. After the Amazon acquisition, they were told that Twitch became more professional, began employing more women and marginalized people, and brought in consultants to talk about diversity and culture, which you would assume is like a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? Hey, Stoma Man? I almost called you a Stoma Mama Man. Welcome in. So despite that, our conversations with employees who worked at Twitch before, during, and after the acquisition made it clear that the increased professionalism only helped so much. The people we spoke with for this article did so on the condition that we preserve their anonymity, and some felt putting time frames with their stories would risk identifying them, which means they're usually tied to very specific stories. And man, this is crazy. So I'm just gonna nitpick. I don't want to go through all of this, okay? Because there's a lot. I think if you care about the platform, again, I'm gonna repost the article for anybody coming in. You should read about this because it's important for you to understand where your company started, the company that you like, the platform that you choose to stream on, like this one. I think it's important to know where the roots started and how we got to this point. Because again, a lot of the stuff that people feel Twitch doesn't do well, I feel like it's easy to point at symptoms and be like, you got to fix this, but like there is a core issue that we'll get to and we'll talk about. So going back, so yes, so this is a quote. The women on the platform were held to extreme standards, and it was always blamed on them if they used sexuality as marketing, and it was deeply degrading. They specifically, this is where the term, and this is kind of fucking crazy to me, this is where the term like titty streamer or boob streamer came from what I understand. I'm not saying this is the originator of it, but Twitch's own staff routinely called the women that streamed on Twitch with like low cut shirts boob streamers by men in the office. One employee recalled instances of male coworkers joking about streamers sleeping with people to get favors or slut shaming them. And one employee involved in moderation recalled professional streamer Casey Tron as an example, who's a huge streamer, saying that there was an abundance of concern when she started becoming popular on Twitch while wearing low-cut tops. It was one of those rare moments where some of these guys just came out with it and were honest. This woman is a problem because she's showing too much cleavage, and we need to come up with a way that does not bend our rules but allows us to get her off this website. So basically what you're talking about is an inability for Twitch to create guidelines for what they seem acceptable on their platform early on, and then not establishing that and creating these rules retroactively after having to deal with these like controversial issues, controversial in quotes. So women streamers' concerns were not taken seriously. One employee said there was never any talk about should we make a formal system or tools of any kind to help them manage the constant harassment that they were receiving. There was an attitude in the office, especially among the partnerships team, which is a huge deal because partnerships teams are the reasons why, our partnerships teams manage Twitch partners. They're supposed to be like your outlet for support if you are having an issue with like your channel or moderation or anything like that is beyond the tools you are given. And the attitude around that, according to this Twitch employee, was that what do booby streamers expect was the question. So completely dismissive. I think you guys get the idea behind like the toxic masculinity part of it. So I'm just going to go through the other things that were said here. Let's see here. I mean, this all, and when they say this isn't just streamers also. So just another quote related to this before we move on. If I were to report to management at another job something that was done to me, I know something would be done about it, that it was not okay, and that these would be the next step. One person said that is not something Twitch was set up to handle in any situation at the time. It just didn't feel safe there ever. Nobody ever really took responsibility for anything, and there was nobody to go to if you were threatened or felt threatened or were harmed in any way. One woman said she was told to continue working with a man who sexually assaulted her and show him, quote, respect. One person who raised a concern about the treatment of women at the company said they were told that if they don't feel safe there, they should just leave. And HR, the HR situation, I don't know what was going on here, but a lot of people know that HR works on the benefit of the company for the most part. This was very much apparent, and there's a lot of quotes in here related to employees going to HR, explaining they were feeling threatened, and then HR would go to the person to report, and then there would be like a high level conversation with like a C-level executive, and then nothing would happen. They were pretty much told to shut up, which is fucking crazy. Like you're not essentially you're talking about like a toxic behavior, toxic cultural behavior that is out of control, and there's no way to do anything. So the quote for the HR bit is, I'd seen many people go to HR and ultimately would not resolve things in favor of the complainant. They weren't a source of support for employees. If anything, they just worked to minimize the complaining person and their complaint. They were always in favor of and working for the person with the most power. Yeah, so pretty hard stuff to read there. And then this quote right here was actually cited for me, like for one of my main reasons for dealing with the with like putting the nail in the coffin for me withdrawing from the affiliate program, was a tweet from Justin and Samantha Wong. Justin was a VP at Twitch, and he reported a wait, what is it? I was a VP at Twitch, and I reported this to the relationship. Here it is. Samantha replied to a tweet that Twitch released about sexual harassment within their own company. At the time, like there was an employee partnership relations manager who was accused about sexual harassment, and then they responded to that tweet saying they take statements about sexual harassment very seriously. And so Justin, the former VP of at Twitch, responded to this tweet saying, "These are empty words considering as a company minimized and dismissed my wife's sexual harassment and continued to let the predator attend your events and gave him live segments at E3 on the official channel." He reported the relationship issue or whatever with the VP at the time, head of HR, and the CEO of the company. They all assured him that it would be handled, and the next year it was the same VIP space at the same Twitch event where he saw this predator, and he was told he was the VP's uncle and an important initiative launch partner. So yeah, what's disappointing about that is from a female's perspective, it's as if Twitch couldn't get that through. There wasn't really hope for any complaints being right or wrong. Right, no rights wronged. It was always like, what is going to be best for Twitch, and that's how they prioritize the company. Well, another quote, and I'm sure a lot of people can sympathize with this, having probably worked in a previous toxic work environment as well. Working there felt like being in an abusive relationship, and you're going back and forth feeling like maybe you were betrayed or you couldn't really get out of the situation without any sort of egg on your face, so to speak. When for the few employees who did get out of the relationship, the abusive relationship, they felt like they finally escaped. Lots of stuff. God, man, there's just a lot of stuff here. So one last let me see here really quick. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything that I think is here we go. Okay, so this is where I think like the issue stems from, and I think a lot of people who've experienced toxic work environments or experienced in toxic work environments can kind of agree. So one understanding shared by many people of the company at Twitch, they spoke with, or that the article spoke with, or games industry spoke with, the higher ups at Twitch were effectively beyond accountability, an inner circle of mostly male executives in the ear of Tim Shear, who's the current COO of Twitch, and co-founder Kevin Lin. Lin was COO until 2018, but remains with the company in a culture, strategy, and innovation role, meaning like leadership hasn't really changed at all at Twitch since the start. It was known that this group of people are the ones who were early in the company and they could do whatever they want. One person said if they didn't get their way, they could just go to Kevin, the COO at the time, and the next thing you know, you're having a very serious discussion about whatever the fuck it is, another said. Those executive also commanded outsized influence over the company operations at its highest levels. There was a general apathy for sound decision making. It tended to be very emotional. It tended to be very cliquey. There were so many times where it seemed like decisions were made behind closed doors. One former executive told us, and leaders might represent themselves one way in front of a group and represent themselves in a completely different way in private. There was a, let's see, with the senior leadership, I found it to be extreme arrogance. You said there was allegations of racism or sexism, etc. For me, it was more general apathy, extreme arrogance, and righteousness about their own beliefs that led me to believe that this was not a culture that fosters diversity of thinking and styles. And I think that's honestly where this all comes from. Lee, I'd love to hear your thoughts about just like, I know we've talked, there's a lot of specific examples related to Twitch, but I think a lot of this can be attributed to just like poor leadership in general. And so like when you have poor leadership, how that affects the rest of the employees is pretty drastic. How do you feel about that?
Dude, large question, and I'll do my best to kind of answer it. But like,
sure,
I think we all know like what's going on with Twitch right now in these allegations and stuff like that. Frankly, I'm not surprised that more of this information is coming out. I have a feeling, there'll be more and more coming out to it, but I think it's also the action. It's also like the action that people like, for example, it's like you did a good thing about kind of stopping your affiliation with Twitch, but I feel like even the user base hasn't really done much. And I know I'm not as connected with the user base of Twitch, but like,
I would agree.
How everyone was kind of like, wait, I remember when the first allegations kind of came out and everyone was all up in arms about it, and everyone was like, we're gonna close our accounts, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and like as a user base, because that's how you make the biggest impact on an organization, is like the contributors, the people, the consumers, right? Like,
right.
If your consumer base gets
platform,
crushed,
like your whole your Twitch's entire ecosystem is dependent on you as the user interacting with the platform, giving bits, watching advertisements, subscribing to your favorite, creators. And so like, I know that I'm not trying to be a righteous fuck here. Okay. I know that like you have to watch ads. If you don't have ad blocker on here, get ad blocker. Like there are ways around this, like donate directly, tip directly your creators, the content creators. Instead of spending $5 for that subscription every month and them getting $2.50, send them $5 directly. Like there are ways to circumvent this. And I feel like if we as a user base, not only, we're up in arms and be like, what are you doing about this now? Where's the transparency about the communication? Why aren't these safety tools in place? Why are you not consulting us about like any features that you're looking to put on the platform? Because what's best for us. You know what I mean? It's like, no, you don't. You haven't been talking with us. What is your safety advisory board doing? Like what? Yeah. There's no communication going on. There's no proactive communication going on about how you're improving the platform. It's all reactionary. Oh, we fucked up. We shouldn't have done this. Like there, and even recently, like, I mean, the Black Lives Matter video that they released when the whole protests were kicking off featured one black content creator in the video that they released. They for Latin Heritage Month, they released emote modifiers that were sombreros and fucking I don't even know, maracas. Like, what are you doing? Like, did you even consult your Latin creators, like the people that are on the platform who talk about this shit every day or like are proud to be? You know what I mean? Like you didn't consult nothing. Instead, it's like, okay, we put these things out. Okay, we removed this thing because everybody's real upset about it. Like, what the fuck are you doing? There's a disconnect there with the communication,
Yeah, I think it's so it's interesting that just like, and this is happening pretty frequently, and I think it's a fascinating take on this, is that like not only with this kind of scenario with Twitch, but like organizations in general, and even politically now, it's like you have this this crazy news leak of information or accusations that are made, and then like the whole community is just like, this is fucking crazy. Like, no way. And then the next day happens, and then it's like either something different happens or people just forget about it. So I'm interested. So with this new article coming out, and again, I hope like kind of more and more of this information comes out, like to the point where it's like Twitch has really got to do something about it. But like, again, I hope there's another wave of people that are like, I'm just going to close my account, or just, which I mean, I have no reason to keep mine open, to be quite honest with you. But that, like, that could be the statement. That could be the place where it's just like, now you take the user base away, because like, if you believe in something as an end user, as a consumer, and you think this is wrong fundamentally and nothing is being done about it at an organizational level, like fucking disconnect, man. Like it's very easy to, I mean, I know people that have like their ongoing and like they've created their communities through Twitch, but like although there isn't another like large scale streaming platform like this. I mean, YouTube Live, if you will. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
that's the hard part. Is like
there's no difference than this. So it's like, so I can understand people's like kind of struggle with coming to grips of just like completely closing out their account. But like,
right.
Think of a way if you can. Like, think of a way. Like, what's the hurt of it? I mean, or someone else is going to come along and create another Twitch alternative, like that always happens in the software tech world. You know, someone's going to be like, oh, Twitch is fucking up. They're not doing it as well as they could be doing it. So I'm going to make that platform. Like, I'm surprised like that hasn't really happened.
I mean, they tried, but like that's what like Mixer was Microsoft's answer to that. But like
that's like a corporation trying to do something that had already been created, as opposed to, I don't know.
Right. Well, so the hard part. I mean, like again, I don't know. We get kind of caught up in like how like alternatives, but I really think it's important that, because to me, in my opinion, and again, feel free, anybody in the chat, if you're listening to this and you want to say something else, like I feel like Twitch is ours. Like it's no longer Twitch. Like it is us. The reason why the platform is so successful is because you have a user base who is dedicated to like trying to improve the platform. So ultimately it is us in control, right? Now, I think the counterpoint, the hard part about this is like, because their ecosystem is so ingrained, like how, as a content creator, if I'm a partner and I have thousands of people watching my shit, like how am I going to get that same amount of money per month? I'm not, if I disable my subs, you know what I mean? And so like, and some of these people sign contracts for like years related to it. You know, that's the hard part. So like, what do you do? And so as a partner, I'm also curious, and I would love to know, I don't even know if they can even talk about it, but I would love to know if partners even like can talk about anything related to the platform, or if that's like a clause and it terminates their contract.
Oh, dude. It's probably like I would not hesitate for a second to believe that their contracts that they're signing with Twitch have so much fine print that restricts the end user, like from an NDA perspective, from like, a bunch of the other stuff that like gets them to just shut up and like say like dance monkey, basically, you know? And it's like, so that's so I guess, I don't know. It's interesting that, you know, people haven't like if people are pissed at Twitch, like if you're an end user that just like really doesn't believe fundamentally, like take your affiliation away, you know, consider moving the platform or moving platforms, find another way to just like encourage people to just like hit them where it hurts, which is views, algorithms, income, you know what I mean, and that kind of thing. So
it really comes down to income, you know what I mean? Like
I think it's really, it's really strange. So
you gotta hit them in the wallet for that. But I kind of want to like refocus, because like I know I guess like if I was to recommend it for anybody listening, if I was to recommend the way you can combat this, I think a really big part of that is canceling all of your subs for every content creator you've ever had. And if you're already trying to support them, maybe they have a Patreon. I know that we do. I'm not going to plug mine now because that's super fucking inappropriate, but you could do Patreon. You can tip directly via like Streamlabs or donation links or PayPal or Cash App or whatever. Do not buy bits. Do not buy into the Twitch ecosystem if you're trying to protest this whole thing. And the more people that do that, I think will have a pretty big impact on like, oh, our numbers are down. What do we got to do to get people re-engaged?
Exactly.
And so, I mean, what I hope comes out from this, and I hope that, you know, I don't know, this is tough. That's what I would give you as a person who, like, as somebody who loves Twitch, and like I'm not a partner, I have a 9-to-5, like I was making pretty decent money via subs and stuff because it's easy, but it morally conflicted with me so much that I needed to withdraw from the program. If you are on the fence, like I feel like this article is more than enough for you to get the fuck out of there. And also like encourage the people that want to support you in other ways. That's what I would recommend you do. And for anybody who's like just a viewer and you want to support the creators that you have, support them directly. Do not go through the Twitch platform. That's what I would recommend. You know what I mean? If you're trying to do that. As far as just like the toxic work environment and what's being described in here, there's a lot of symptoms that we're seeing right now in 2020 that are the result of poor leadership. Oh, these are good questions. Wait, hold on. Let's take a look at this really quick.
Sure.
The protection of popular streamers is incredibly hurtful. People point to Doc's ban but he was a golden child bringing in bank for Twitch only to ban him in a way that left the reason ambiguous so he could keep his fan base. But small streamers are hammered for small infractions of the rules where a moneymaker would slap on the wrist. Well, if you read that, Savage Talk, if you read that article, there are definite rules for people. If you're a partner, they don't blatantly say this, but if you're a partner on Twitch making a lot of money, you got some more leeway. It's just, that's how it is. You're a big dog. You know what I mean? You're going to get a slap on the wrist, and that's fine. If you're a small streamer, like, they better speak out. They better stop saying it. I would say, like, if it was, I feel like the same rules should apply to everybody. It should be very transparent about that, about this for, like, everybody. The rules should be the same for everybody, but reading that article, the rules were not the same for everybody. They picked and chose who they banned based on, like, what they were talking about, how they were talking about it. Were they wearing a low-cut shirt? Did they have pasties on when they started doing their body paint? Like, there's a lot of shit that, like, they didn't even have rules for, and they were enforcing without any context or anything. So I think we could chalk it up to an inexperienced company trying to, like, figure things out as they go. But it's also, in my opinion, and we'll get into this with what's on the dog. What I haven't read this yet, but I think it's a really big problem with leadership. So I know the question wasn't directed at me, but I think perhaps saying it's a problem with leadership, while true, is not being as critical on employees. And as Lee is talking about, the viewers, as is deserved. Everybody is part of this, either through complacency or actively creating such a toxic environment, and for the lack of a better term, gaming community at large is and always has been about acceptance and concern for people's rights. I agree with that, but when it comes down to the reason why I point to leadership as the issue is because leadership is supposed to be providing direction and also creating trust within the company that they work at. That's what good leadership is. Leadership is putting people in place that you trust to make sound decisions. And if they can't make a sound decision, they can use a network or you or the people involved in the company or even the content creators that are there as a leverage or to gain feedback in order to make a proper decision. That article, what I read for like 45 minutes, I had to read it twice because I was just so flabbergasted as to what was there. A lot of it you see as like symptoms of like a startup. Immediately talked about this a little bit, like a startup company. It's loose and cool. Like you're trying to establish yourself in the tech world. So like you're going to be a little bit more lenient. Maybe there isn't rules because the company's not super big, right? But you have to establish guidelines and you have to create like a code of conduct, steps of service, a mantra, fucking, what's the word I'm thinking of?
Motto. Mission statement. Like there needs to be something that is at the core of everything you do, right? And from what I'm seeing and from what I read, that was never the case. It was never like Twitch has changed their slogan or motto like multiple fucking times. Gaming together, community, like all this shit. But it doesn't mean anything to them because they've never held the core values or created rules or established a environment that reflects those beliefs or mantras. It's always been like a cookie cutter thing because that's what's the right thing to say right now, which is not okay. Like if you have a fluid identity as a company that doesn't reflect the core value of your user base or the people that work there, you're fucking nothing. Yeah, it's like, you know, from my perspective, it's like, it's a matter of like, yes, leadership, because every employee at an organization needs to fight for somebody or feel like they're fighting for somebody.
Yes.
Because like, you know, you can have your own self motivation, which I know can take you very far and stuff like that, but the self-paced motivation individuals I think are great, but I also think they're there's an element of selfishness in there, full transparency.
Agreed.
You know, I've got to make it, right? I've got to make it. And that is completely fine. But the more impactful individual is the one that creates, you know, the leadership environment that affects multiple people, especially across an organization, right? So even if it's like, you know, everybody here that has a job, so everyone's got a manager, right? Everyone's got somebody that goes higher than themselves.
Yes.
So you got to trust that person, and they've got to give you the motivation and the drive and the, you know, the developmental growth that you can be just a better human being. They've got to have that. And then going above that, you have to have the faith in that next person, whether it's a CEO or like our CEO, you know, some executive level or whatever, that is taking that higher level of then making sure that that's a culture across their teams that they associate themselves with, right? And so then you build the trust in that leadership executive level, right? And then you have the creators, right? The CEOs, the founders, like these kinds of people. And because especially they are the creators of this entire idea, you absolutely have to believe in them. They have to be the ones that create the mission statement that is everlasting, right? Because in order for somebody to make a continuous successful business, I feel it's like you've got to do something that you fucking believe is better for the world. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you have to believe it full-fledged, because then everything else will fall into place, in the sense of like, if you believe it, then you'll always believe it. If you really, really believe it, right? So not assuming here, because I don't know the founders of Twitch. I don't know the whole story or anything like that. But I've seen it time and time again where, and it's especially in the tech startup world, the medium-sized technology businesses and stuff like that, is that it's just like, it's you know, a guy, mostly white guys that just
Mostly
like
white guys, yeah.
they're looking for that fucking $1 million idea. They're looking for that $1 billion idea, because they see these even bigger and larger tech companies that are like buying up these smaller companies. So then like, I'm gonna like make my software, I'm gonna make my app, you know, be the next Instagram that gets bought out by Facebook, you know, the next, you know, whatever VR service that's getting bought out by Apple, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And so like, people are just chasing that. They're chasing that as opposed to like the core values of why they're creating the technology in the first place. You know what I mean? And I know that that's a problem. And so I guess the larger interesting topic of discussion, I think, is also happening right now, is breaking up these giant tech companies.
Yeah.
Because I know that like Apple, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all these companies are under fire right now, because they have the monetization of the markets. They have the control of the markets, which is why they're fucking hundreds of billions of dollars of revenue, you know, every year of growth, by the way, in a crashing economy. So I think, and so I think that impact and that preface of these massive companies that are uncapped has created an environment for the smaller tech companies and companies like Twitch to chase the success and the money, that they could be the next Facebook, they could be the next multi-billion-dollar tech organization, right? But I feel if they start to regulate some of these larger tech companies and break them apart and start to kind of evenly, you know, distribute that thing out, then that will create a market of like, who's the best in the market.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have to think fundamentally and morally, like, you need to be the best of the best. And one of the reasons why I still respect Apple today is because not only like, and I think they should be broken up as well, because the amount of money that they're making is fucking staggering. But I still respect Apple because they have the moral background, they have the moral drive of creating technology that works for everybody, and you know, their 100% of sustainability, their, you know, their dedication to health, their dedication to fitness, like all these other things that as a company they morally believe. And whenever you watch Tim Cook, it's kind of easy for him to talk about these things because he's morally there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it started with Steve Jobs, and he just started with that I want to change the fucking world stuff. and he went for that with the business drive under it. But that's how they grew to this stage. So I don't know if I have a point to this, but it's just like I think that companies and individuals in a lot of ways are constantly being driven to just make a shit ton of money, as opposed to invest in technology to change the world. Do that first. And like Twitch started at that stage, but there's no rule book for massive growth. There's no rule book to say, I know how to start a business and probably make a lot of money really quickly, but you don't know sustainability. You don't know the next phase of these kinds of things. And like you can say, at an organization, like you want to be this loose, kind of like, yeah, we're just going to change stuff. We're going to change stuff. But it's like, you have to think about the people that you're bringing into your circle.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it all can come crashing down by things like, what Twitch is being accused of.
Right.
And I hope it does,
Yeah, I hope. So. Well, I hope that there's drastic changes in place, because like one of the things that this article cites that I think is really important is that Twitch today is profoundly different. It's a profoundly different company than what it was in the beginning. The headcount, the bureaucratic professionalism, but many of the people who created the company and built its original culture, flaws and all, have continued to shape its growth. Like there are still people who are present in the company, and this is where I think like a lot of the nonchalantness and like all this stuff like kind of comes from. The problems that we see with Twitch all bubble up from like a cultural flaw that started in the beginning and is still present. And so like, what am I saying? I think that a change in leadership would do a huge benefit to Twitch. I think more transparency around what they're doing would be more all the stuff that I'm saying is shit that Twitch has mentioned they were going to do. Hold us accountable. They want feedback, all of this stuff. And like, we're doing that, but they're not responding. They're simply doing things and then responding to the reaction to those things instead of being proactive and approaching us with like, hey, this is something that we would like to test with a few channels. Like, these are partnered streamers. Like, what do you guys think about this? You know what I mean? Like, there's no trust right now. The brand integrity with Twitch lies entirely with the people who represent Twitch's values. And the people that represent quote unquote Twitch's values are the reason why we're so invested in this. They make Twitch good, like a good place to be. There are so many great people on this platform. There's a lot of awesome individuals who have conversations, who engage with really, really great discussions. They're entertaining. They're good people. But at the core, you have a company that doesn't reflect the values of the people that are on it. And that's the conflict that I'm seeing. Like, if Twitch is...
No, I agree with that.
And that's why we're like in this weird fucking limbo. You think I want to be on a platform that like has all of these allegations in place? Like, no. I want to, like, I would love to go onto like a different platform, but what's holding me back is that I have so many people that I've met and have had so many great experiences. I went to fucking conventions around this platform. You know what I mean? There is a lot of good. There's a lot of good culture that we created, not Twitch. Twitch simply gave us a skeleton and the tools to create the culture that we have on here. And so that's why I feel like it's ours. And for somebody to be running the company, and I know like I don't have stock invested or I don't work for the company, but like their main investment is all of the content creators who are on this platform, and the fact that they are underutilizing them for feedback and getting information and being transparent and not like reflecting our values is a fucking huge deal to me. You know what I mean? It's like working in a toxic work environment. You're 9 to 5. Like what the fuck do you expect us to do? It's just I have to talk about this because I love Twitch. I'm conflicted as fuck. Like I'm stuck here. I've withdrawn from the affiliate program. I'm still here because I care about all of you guys. I fucking love some of the people that I've met. Like, I have friends that are equivalent to you, Lee, that I've met online, Etwert being one of them. Like, if you guys met, you'd be fucking like this.
Hell yeah.
You know, James and Etwert. Like, I can't
virtual hug. Like, can I this is a virtual hug right now.
Yeah, go
right?
for it. Yeah.
Like, virtual hug, right?
Yeah. There's the reason why I choose to talk about this is because I feel like most of us have lived through or work in or currently work in a toxic work environment, and there's good fucking people there. So how do you change that? And it starts with us, guys. Like, it has to start with us. It has to start with the conversations. It has to start with the monetary choices we make with how we support our content creators on the platform. There's a lot of stuff that we have to do as a collective in order to make a change. And like, there's a lot of great stuff happening. Like, when Twitch fucks up, we're literally, everybody's tweeting, "You're fucking up right now. Why did you put this change? Remove this shit." And they're removing tools instead of keeping them in place.
Yeah, it's holding account. Yeah, it's holding the accountability to the organization, and I think like, I think it's you know, as a lot of people need to understand, it's like, you know, you need to speak up, and you also need to defend others who can't speak up for themselves. And it's also a matter of like, if you, and so like, I'm a firm believer in this, is like, if you have that belief, of like, no man, like, you know, I'm a valuable worker and employees, and this goes for everybody that's like in their own organizations and their own like 9 to 5s and stuff like that. Like, fucking strive to be a leader, strive to be someone in those shoes, because like, from personal experience, it's like, to have the direct responsibility for change in the right direction is so fucking valuable. Like, it's a lot of fucking work and stress and pain, but like, it's so valuable, because the things that you're talking about, Steve, where it's just like holding, you know, cultural change and cultural sustainability and like all these other things. Try to get in those shoes. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if you don't believe, it's the same thing politically. It's like, why so many new faces are in Congress and in the House and the Senate right now. It's because there are people that were like, nah, fuck these guys, you know, and they're just like, and they're like, I'm gonna try for this, right? And it's not, and yes, the difficulties that we have, and what I've had to deal with is like experience. It's you know, it's not like you could just walk into a leadership position. It's very difficult to try to like get to the, you know, the right skill set to get there, to have the confidence to do it, to have the backup to do it, to know the fundamentals of, you know, what is expected in a leadership position. But like, get there. If you believe that, get there. Because like, or even in your position now, if you don't want the title, if you don't want the position or whatever it is, just like, be the active leader in your organization. Right.
At whatever level you're at, you know what I mean?
At whatever level you're at, it's like, you know, show what it's like to be an amazing employee, and then especially show others what it's like to be part of an organization that cares for you. Be that person. Nothing's holding that back. You know what I mean? And so Steve knows this full well. Like, I lived that for a majority of my career. And it's gotten to me where I am today, where now I run a team and I run a chunk of an organization, and it's valuable because I've got the direct impact on it. So I think it's, you know, so it's that two piece of like, hold your leadership accountable, because they're the ones that are in the position, you know, especially no matter what level that it is, like, hold them accountable for creating a comfortable, safe, inclusive, positive environment, inspiring environment. Like, hold them accountable, but also live it, dude. You know what I mean?
You have
to like, live that environment too, no matter what stage that you're at. And if you feel like you want to go down that path of leadership and being directly responsible, fucking do it. Find the elements to be like, hey, boss guy or gal, can I follow you to do this? Can I, you know, like, start to latch onto these things to get the experience of what it's like to be a leader. And then and so this is another interesting point that I want to make, is like, it's very easy for any like kind of standard employee, and I don't want to, you know, discredit that title, but just like, you know, any kind of like low to mid-level employee, it's very easy for them to look at leadership and be like, you're fucking up, man. Like, why would you do this? Why would you do that? Why would you make those decisions? And I was doing that, you know, for a majority of my career, but now seeing the other side of the coin from a leadership standpoint, there is a lot of very delicate things that you have to walk around. And there is a lot of things that you have to like either not say or say a particular way, as to not make the situation a billion times worse,
right?
To eventually lead it to the point where potentially the business could go under.
Right.
So
there is such a thing as too much transparency. Yes.
Well, there is,
agree.
but it's the pressure that those low to mid-level employees put on leadership and expect from leadership that I think is not, not everybody can see that side of the coin, because not everybody has been in that leadership. It's very rare you'd find a really great leader that's got a good enough transparency and knows how to like kind of keep things organized and contained, because like when you're in that position, like you got to be fucking delicate. You got to be like really, really, if sexual assault allegations come up, like you got to treat that like crazy. And so, and so I guess this is not like in defense of the leadership of Twitch per se, but they're dealing with a platform that is supposed to be open source, open this, like anybody can say anything, again, to an extent, but that fine line of what you can and can't say on this platform is non-existent. Like there's no rule book for what you can and can't say, right, unless if it's the extremes. Hey, I want to go kill this person. Like, duh, shut them down, right? But when it gets to the fine line of these of these other elements that people are getting, that Twitch is now being accused of, like they got and I say they've got to figure it out, but they're dealing with a real shit show because their platform calls for it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I just think it's interesting. It's the same thing that's going on with Twitch. I mean, with Twitter, with Instagram, with Facebook.
Yeah.
It's all that, like these how do you
giants,
stop people? Yeah. Well, tech giants, but in the platforms of open speech, all these platforms that have like the hardest time right now are platforms where you can say anything you want.
Not true.
But you can say a lot. I know you can't say anything you want, but like,
yeah.
But because there's no rule book right or wrong, you know what I mean? Especially when you get into this, then you play the free speech card. That's why they're all dealing with this shit. You know what I mean? Like you can't suppress one person and let somebody else. I'll give you a perfect example, like how Twitter was starting to put more pressure on people doing like death threats to Donald Trump. Right?
Yeah.
They were like putting bans and like suppressing a lot of those tweets, but never did that with like AOC or any of the new incoming, young female politicians. It's like no one ever suppressed that. Right. So it's just like that's the point where it's like,
well, you're feeling out what should and shouldn't be done, right? But like I feel like, I don't know, this may be just super progressive of me, and it seems like it'd be obvious. There should be, because it's a private company, you should have guidelines for how you should interact with everybody. You know what I mean? Like, as a decent human being, it just makes sense to me that you would handle that, like just how people are approaching the president, you would have handled it the same way. You know what I mean? And then when somebody points out, why the fuck are you doing that? The thing is, at the time, we didn't recognize this as like a serious allegation or whatever because of X, Y, and Z. There needs to be like some transparency around that. You need to have an explanation as to why you didn't have the same standards that you're upholding now. Because I think, and I understand, like, you could chalk it up to like our leadership at the time didn't think this was a big deal, but with the changing times, we understand that we need to be more diligent about like protecting women of color or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like it's I think like the times we're in are really weird because there's this whole cancel culture thing where that's also strange to me, because like cancel culture to me exists for a reason but shouldn't, because people are inherently flawed and we forget that people created these things, right? So it makes sense for these systems to be flawed, but for us, for those people to not recognize that the flaw exists, be transparent about the flaw, and then address it going forward, like that's what I have a problem with. So when somebody raises their hand and they work at a company and they're going to HR and they're trying to resolve things internally and nothing's happening, that's an issue that, okay, now we got to go to the free press, right? There's going to be an article published. They're not going to have my name. You know what I mean? Now we're going to put policies in place that further like make sure that we are driving this vision forward, right? Like there needs to be some sort of accountability. And if it's not being handled within the company, then you have to go externally and then they have to react. You know what I mean? But like, to me, again, like this comes back to I think what ultimately comes down to a leadership issue. If you are a leader at one of these companies and you recognize a flaw, it is your job to be diligent and efficient about how you're going to resolve that issue as best as you possibly can, and you need to be fucking transparent about the issue that existed. You can't pretend it didn't exist, because it's the worst thing you could fucking do, is to pretend nothing happened, proceed forward as if, oh, we were doing this the whole time. Like, no, because of your feedback, we are going to be better, and this is how. This is what existed before. Because of the outcries we've received, or because of this and this specific feedback that we received, and you display what was received, you're going to proceed. These are the policies we're putting in place. This is how we're going to reinforce these rules.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Is it going to be a perfect system every time? No, you can't do it.
Yeah.
It's impossible. You got people handling this shit. But the transparency around it and the communication around it needs to be happening constantly. And it's going to be tiring, but if you fuck up, that's part of being a human being, is repairing yourself and going forward better than you were before. That's just my opinion. But
that's good. And I think what that makes me think of is there surprisingly is not a standard idea of this from a fundamental standpoint for tech startups, medium startups, especially larger companies, and everything too, is a culture of consistent change, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Where it's if you just out of the gate had a part, ingrained in your culture at your organization that hey, listen, I know next week's going to be different. I know 6 months down the road it's going to be way different. I know 5-10 years down the road it's going to be massively different. If you just had a culture of knowing that things are going to evolve and knowing that things are going to change, I feel that creates and this might sound weird, but this creates a level of protection for you as an organization to know that you are flawed, to know that you are going to have flaws. You know what I mean? And you know that, even right now, there are probably things that you and I or anybody here can't realize is going to be an issue 5-10 years from now, right? If you think about it, it's there's because these things can surface themselves, or technology will advance that creates new problems, right? Whether it is culturally, or whether it is racially, sexually, all these other things. And so, again, using Twitch as an example, it's before Twitch existed, there wasn't as much sexual harassment digitally on the web. I mean, there was, and I know that sounds silly, but just that kind of continued to ramp up when you have a platform that has, video live streaming of somebody, and then an attractive woman with a low-cut shirt has her show, and then that created a new element of sexual harassment, right? So tech companies weren't prepared for that, right?
Right.
But if you create an element or create a pattern of I know we're going to change. I know that there are probably things that we don't know yet that will be a problem, but we will take steps to be able to understand those problems as they surface, because it's hard to prevent a lot of these things from happening, and that's why you see a lot of the backtracking that people are doing. And so I think it's a matter of you create that from the ground, from the start, dude. You know what I mean? And you create that's burned in your memory. So it's adapt to change and change the world. Change the world and adapt to it. I don't know, something like that, so
I don't know, something like that, yeah.
So that's and so that'll just create a pattern for people to say and especially as you onboard a new to a new company, if you had this understanding as you starting at this new company, if you had an understanding oh shit, this place is going to change a lot, then you have that expectation oh shit, okay, now that keeps me motivated because I know no 2 days are going to be the same. And that's what people want at an organization. That's what people want, is to have that drive and have that, that consistent growth, and that can, because everybody wants something different all the time. Mm-hmm. Everybody needs their attention span grabbed. Right now, do it again, you think of no one loves that kind of every day, that sitting at your computer doing the same old shit.
Yep.
Nobody fucking loves that.
Nobody.
You know what I mean? Especially the younger generation now.
Yeah.
So it's just if you create that culture of consistent change, I think that would be game changer.
I agree. I think that's probably the biggest issue is that it's not being communicated to us if it is in place. You know what I mean? Like there's
exactly
that's my
that
biggest
transparency
problem.
too.
I think is just like the communication between like what's changing and like what is being worked on. Like that's just like so up in the air. It's always like here's a feature, everybody gets upset or they like it. You know, like it'd be really nice if we felt like we were a part of Twitch and not being controlled by Twitch. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's like you have this environment that thinks they know what's best for us, and it's sort of like a parent. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you'll understand when you're older. Like I understand that every tech company is different, so it's not that much. I guess I take issue more with that. I think Twitch is just, I feel like a part of it is like mine, you know what I mean? And to see it conflict with my own morals, and I'm sure everybody else feels very similar, is like so frustrating because I know the platform can be better, and I know that the people on the platform want it to be better. So how do we, like, I mean, I would love to see, like, again, based on this article, something from Twitch saying, hey, like, all of this stuff was in our past. These are the steps we're taking going forward. Like, it could even just be like an article that they publish a week. You know what I mean? Like something about
they do software updates, you know, server updates. You can go and find out what their next patch fix is going to be. Do the same thing.
Do the same thing, but for like culture updates.
Here's how we're changing. Here's how we're being better. Yeah,
or like, hey, you can sign up for this beta as a content creator to like try out channel points and see if they work, because they did that before and that was a huge success.
Sure.
You know,
I mean, people beta test games all the time. It's like, why not? Exactly.
Let me, you're going to run this feature. Like, let me try it out. Or like, hey, these are the things that like you should be wary of. You know what I mean? It just makes sense. Like patch notes, but with, we're going to be less shitty this week sort of thing. Yeah. Whoa. I figured you got your answer while you were typing. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Elaine made some food. Holy shit.
That's all right. I think I think we're like this conversation, I feel like, is at the tail end of it anyway, so no worries, man.
Yeah. But I think just in general is like, there was another thought that I had, was like, and you know, holding Twitch accountable as an example. It's like, I think what needs to happen is like, we'll hear articles and stuff like that, but you know, we have to get to the root of what is really gonna, you know, make them hear it. And it's like a matter of, you know, if big streamers or big or whatever, just like they're like, hey, flood Twitch's inbox with this message, you know. So and again, I connected. It all comes back to like what politically is going on right now. But like, so for example, so in Chicago, there is an organization that is a non-for-profit that is generating, like, so it auto generates a message that sends it directly to your alderman and the governor and the just like, you know, the relevant leaders in our you know, government of Chicago and Illinois, right?
Yeah.
That it was like, you know, some of the money that needs to get the stimulus package that has been delayed, unfortunately, but some of the money needs to go directly to, you know, helping local music venues, right? So it was in a non-for-profit organization. You like just put in your zip code and like your information or whatever, and it automatically creates this template for you, and it says send it to your Congress people, right? And it was such an easy thing. And I got like an auto response from Dick Durbin and from my alderman and stuff like that. That is like, you know, hey, you know, we understand. And it was a good, candid response. I know it was auto generated, but it was like I felt like my voice was being heard. So if there was something similar to that, where there was some organization that said, hey, do you believe this is wrong at Twitch? Fill out your information here and let them know about it, right? And it just floods their, you know, whatever inbox that needs to be addressed.
My counterpoint to that is that, I don't know, to me, like, Twitch is so big that like they already have it. Twitch staff, if you're listening to this, please take this with please look at like my account, like case history. The way Twitch handles support in general is abysmal. Like whatever support system they have in place isn't a support system. It is literally, it needs a lot of work. What I guess what I think would be more impactful would be, as Atward and me as myself both have dealt with, But still haven't gotten your payout. I'm not fucking surprised. And you exited in like June, dude. That's fucking crazy to me.
Yeah, this is
what
not,
I was gonna say is like
yeah.
appointing you designate. So the same reason why Twitch made like a safety committee. There should be a committee of like the voted, content creators that the community feels has the best interest for Twitch as a platform. And if they choose to, they can go to Twitch like and talk about the things that are being put in place or whatever. I don't know. Like
yeah,
you have
no, like
does that make sense?
I hear that. Yeah, it does make sense. But I'm saying like not go through the support channels kind of thing. Like I'm talking
okay.
Someone, an organization that digs deep into the depths of Twitch as an organization. I mean, like literally, if it was just like press at twitch.com, twitch.tv or what, just like some contact at Twitch, even if it gets down to the HR team or something like that, where they were able to do the right legal research. And even the people, if they are like, that are at Twitch, they are filing lawsuits or whatever. If it's getting to that point, like, use that fuel to find the legal bounds of how to communicate a massive idea like this that is looking for some structural change, and flood their fucking inboxes so they can't avoid it. You know what I mean? And it's like, that is the best way I think that people's voices are going to get heard, because like right now people are just, as we are doing in the moment, is like, we're just kind of talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some people that are like taking a pause from Twitch, you know what I mean? And things like that. And like, they're getting their voice kind of across, but it's not, that's why there's been no structural change at Twitch, is because everyone's kind of doing what they think is right to make progress. But like, you need to fucking flood their system, and like, and doing it in a legal controlled, good way. So that they have no choice but to address it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like, if there was something like that, then I think that would be the way to do it. So, we got a question. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you all think, I think right now this is a good opportunity to move into any questions that y'all have. And then we'll wrap up the show. Thank y'all for being here and listening to this. Go ahead. Yeah. So do y'all think that Twitch and the system that has been created here can be reformed, or must it be remade completely? No. You're good. You're good. I think this is the best part to, like, if anybody has questions or things that they want to bring up that we should discuss, like, please do it now, because this is usually when we do it, is like near the end of the show, so we could talk about these things. Mm-hmm. So I think that it's hard to say, because if I knew what the systems were in place, then I could tell you. That's like the hardest part about all of this stuff, is like everything is so ambiguous. I don't know how, like for Twitch support, for example, like I know you submit a support ticket. I work in IT. I know how ticketing systems work. I do not understand how Twitch's ticketing system works at all. Like, I think they have, if I had to guess, they probably have one individual per like handful of accounts, or maybe they cover it by region. They do not have enough support staff to handle the volume that they're getting, or the system they're using is not efficient for them to resolve issues. That is the only two, and that's me speaking from like a technical minded person who works in IT. So like, if that problem exists on a fundamental level for resolving support issues, I can see that being a pretty big problem for the rest of the company. Like if they're collecting feedback, I'm looking right now at twitch.tv, twitch.uservoice.com forums. They have ideas related to ads, account management, accessibility, and they have like a bunch of ideas that people vote on, kind of like Reddit, to decide what's important. And the one of the one things that I saw in here was discovering, browsing, and searching, and the top tag was mentioned in the article. It's a trans gender tag request, meaning like in Twitch, like I can add a trans tag to my stream to let people know I'm a transgender person. You know what I mean? I want to be identified. They have that with the LGBTQ plus tag. They consider that to be a part of it. So their response to this, and this was submitted in March of 2019, so more than a year later, Thank you all for your passionate and thoughtful comments on this topic. This is a request that we care deeply about and have been thinking about for some time now. While creating a tag seems like the obvious answer, we feel there may be a better solution to handle this with more care. However, we aren't ready to share details just yet. This is an important issue and you want to make sure we get things right. We want to make sure that we set clear expectations when we settle on a process. It won't be something that can be implemented quickly, and there's always risk for delays, but it doesn't mean that our focus has changed. We will update this thread occasionally just to let you know we're still here, even if we don't have anything solid to share with you. We won't send you an email notification until we're ready to share more specific information with you. In the meantime, we encourage you to continue or share your thoughts and ideas. That was a year ago. Okay, so this was responded to September 18th of 2020. All right. When like for a support request or an idea to take more than a year for a response like this, questionable. You know what I mean? There isn't an efficient system for communication with Twitch. I don't think that they communicate with their partners or platform members in a way that allows communication and feedback to be exchanged in a way that works. I'd be curious if I would love to submit a question of just like, how does your support system work? Like, I just want to know these things, you know? So
yeah, I think
that's, sorry, go ahead.
Well, so just to get this out of my head is like, so kind of expanding what Edward's talking about here, about like, you know, how this has already tried to happen through Twitter and everything like that. The way that Twitch is getting their feedback right now, like flooding their support systems, flooding their Twitter accounts, like that's not going to do it, because like they don't have an obligation to respond to those things. And that's why it takes them forever, is because they don't have to respond to that. So it's a matter of taking that to an additional level of like more direct, like, you know, flooding of a system that is not a public forum or not a Twitter page or whatever it is. Like, sure, that'll get exposure to the thought. That's why we're having this discussion today, and that's why there's articles that are being posted about it. Like, it gets the idea out there, but the action of like, you know, making it directly known. And if it's a legal obligation, then again, taking legal action to say, like even if it needs to go to like wherever Twitch is headquartered, like if it goes to their local governments of just like of hey, this is not right, go to the Better Business Bureau. Like, I mean, there's these higher levels that people can go to, but I think it's just a matter of like, and in fact, fact is that like it is easy for someone, if you're pissed at Twitch, very easy to write like a Twitter post about it.
Yeah, of course.
Very easy to just
it's
throw a little thing. Yeah, it's easy for people to do that, but I think the more difficult but effective way of doing that is creating a system that tells the right people to say, you better fucking listen up. You know what I mean? Like, and that is more direct internal communication to Twitch. And if it is at the point legally, then it is in the local government perspective. You know what I mean? So if it's, and so like, if let's say, do you know where Twitch is headquartered?
It's in San Francisco.
So the California government, and like, if they proposed a law in California that the law was written up as, in order to meet human resources guidelines, you have to do X, Y, Z. And if you don't meet them, then you will be held accountable legally. Right. Like if there was some sort of, and then if that's proposed in the legal system of California, then all of us have the ability to reach out to our local, or at least people in California, that is, but the community can really spread the message, is that like, you fucking flood now your local governments to vote on something like that. You know what I'm saying? So like there's a path to go about this, but it's just like, I know people get satisfaction out of like just hashtagging it or, retweeting it and stuff like that. And that absolutely gets the message out there, but nothing fucking happens from it.
Right.
Because Twitter is so easy. As long as and again, it's like getting flooded with Twitter posts. That's just gonna force them to respond to it.
Well,
and
to be honest, like I mean, you say it doesn't do anything, but I really think
I'm not saying it doesn't do anything. I'm just saying it doesn't create the affecting lasting. It doesn't create the change that people are expecting.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the social media platforms, it's not only too easy to post on it and create the visibility, but it's also too easy for the company to just say, I'm not going to respond to this.
Right.
You know
That's what
I mean?
happened
Like,
today.
they don't have
that
yeah,
article
it's
that
like
was
they're
posted
they're
today.
just
There's
not
no
gonna talk to you.
response. Yeah. I'm
Right,
wondering
so
if they're
that's my
going to
point,
have
is like,
one. Yeah.
and then it'll take them a year to respond to something that is higher level. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, they created a system in place, but I wonder, like, my question. So here's my thing. Like, and I think Twitch could clarify a lot of, or clear the air, so to speak, or help enlighten us as to like the systems they have in place if they were more transparent about what they were doing or how they handled processes. Right now, essentially, we're like fed or given a website to submit feedback or support tickets, but like we're not told how this is happening, or like there's no demonstration as to like when we receive a support ticket, these are the next steps. They set those expectations when you support it, but like when your expectations for how a support ticket is going to be handled are not accurately represented, like for example how me and Edward's tickets were handled for our payout issues, if you set the false expectations for what's going to happen and we believe those expectations and then those expectations fall through, you create a distrust with me and the support system you put in place. You know what I mean? And if that's not, and it can't just be me. So if I can't trust the support system you put in place, that leads me to believe that the other systems you have for support are flawed. So how do you alleviate that? You create transparency around the processes. That's my opinion. Yep. So Edward says, I don't know if it's about flooding their system. They get plenty of this on Twitter from time to time. See how they handle Black Lives Matter Twitter video. I honestly think the only way is to hit their pockets, but that's super unideal because people make a living off the platform. Getting enough people on board has got to be impossible. I don't know. It's also not everyone's fight. Some people aren't okay with this, but okay enough with it to stay affiliated and such. I agree. I don't think everybody needs to fight this thing, but like when it comes down to the user base and the people who are on here, I think in order for us to make any changes, like I said before, donating, tipping your creators directly, not using the subscription system or bit system, is going to hit their pockets a lot. I mean, can you imagine if, and I'm not saying this would ever happen because that's their main income, but imagine you are Asmongold with 30,000 people average watching you every day, and you decide, okay, I'm going to withdraw from the partnership program, and I'm asking you guys to support me directly until Twitch changes shit. That is huge. Will that happen? No. But if you take all the small content creators who are affiliates and they decide they're going to do that, they don't even need to withdraw from the affiliate program. I would say that would be really cool if they did, but if they didn't withdraw from the affiliate program, they just need to switch to direct donation. Or you as an individual who are listening to this, you know what I mean? You could do that as well. You can tip directly or Patreon or whatever.
Yeah.
Hannah says...
I think that, yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Hannah says, this is really, in some ways, reminds me of an issue with Etsy.com. People who use it to sell crafts can try to work independently or use a different site, but the number of hits / searchability, SEO, of it brings in too many people for many people to switch platforms. They also are very predatory and awful to their shops. It's horrid. See, I didn't know about that about Etsy. Can you elaborate? Do you have an article or anything, Hannah, that you could like whisper me? I'd love to learn more about that. Social media platforms forget so fast because there's always so much going on. That's just people. It's like the news. You know what I mean? Knife, laugh, love. Favorite Pop-Tart flavor, go. I don't eat Pop-Tarts, but if I had to choose, it would be strawberry. Classic.
Same here, dude. S'mores.
I asked before I realized this was a serious talk we're having here. That's okay. You're fine.
Good to break the mold a little bit.
Yeah.
We're in the Q&A section of tonight's broadcast.
Yeah, we're in Q&A, so that's totally acceptable. So how would you recommend we go about encouraging creators to do so? Would a casual, hey, do you have any way I could give directly to you be enough, or could that feel uncomfortable? Fuck no, dude. If you went into a creator's chat and you're like, hey, how do I give you $5? They're like, there's a link right there. Boom. There's a command, probably. Like, there's no question. If somebody came in here and was like, hey, you don't have a sub button. How do I support you? I'm like, literally just boom, sub. Look at that shit. There's multiple ways to do it. You could do it your own way. I think that's like super I would do that. If somebody was like, how do I give you, not donate? Yeah, it's not a donation. You are giving me money. It is a tip for liking the content. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing too. Like content creators that say you're donating to me, like that's not correct. You should say you're getting tips. That's really what it is. But yeah, I think that's a perfect thing. I think even if you did it in like a 30,000 like chat, you would have a mod respond to you. They'd be like, here's the stream tips link. Like even if it's $5, you know, that's a full $5, not $2.50.
I'm sure the streamer would love that.
Oh fuck yeah, dude. As somebody who like does not I do not make as much money as I used to because subs were just easier. Not everybody has PayPal. Not everybody wants to donate or be a part of the Patreon like every month. Or sub via Patreon, not donate, or tip directly. There's a lot you can do if you just ask. I feel like content creators that say donate do it for tax claim reasons, but I don't know shit. I don't think so because it doesn't qualify. Like you would have to have the backup for that.
If they're not getting charged tax on it, then they could.
Okay.
They could just, yeah.
Oh, I guess so.
They could list it as a donation, because if you do it as a tip,
yeah,
as somebody who worked a tipping job for a long time, like you have to mark your tips on your taxes,
right?
And if you don't, you're fucked. But
I
can see people trying to game the system like that.
Edward, shut up. Hi, Mr. Streamer.
Shit.
I'm giving you my tip. I like your content. You're cute. Ooh woo. Got a nice mustache. Got a nice voice. Got a stream. Wow, I can't believe I get to donate to one of my all-time favorite streamers. Thanks, Edward. You're the fucking worst, dude. I think they say donate because it feels charitable or appreciative. Yeah, I think it's a language thing. Not everybody says like tip, donate, or whatever, you know. Tips work similar though. Yeah. I mean, it's still income that you have to report if it's like over a certain amount, right? So, yeah. Something to be conscientious of.
People just trying to make a buck. Now imagine, Steve, we had a universal basic income, then people probably wouldn't, be so inclined to like keep their Twitch pages open.
Yeah, I think like if we were getting a monthly income from the government, we'd be less inclined and more reactive to things like this, and maybe withdraw from things that are like morally ambiguous or make us feel like we can't have control.
People are desperate.
We're in fucking
income.
tough times, man. Did you see the latest article from everybody's like, why are millennials blah blah blah? Like that's been the question for like how many fucking years? We control 4% or like I think it was like 4 to 8% of the total economy. That's why we fucking care. Like, that's crazy for our generation to be this late in life and we only control 4% of the economy. Like, go fuck yourself, older generation that's in control and totally fucking this up for everybody. Mm-hmm. No offense, mom and dad. Let's see. Hey, we talked about that one time. It's true. People are so desperate that Steve's beard has its own OnlyFans. I don't have a beard. Talking about Lee?
Maybe.
Lee, we could get you an OnlyFans with beard.
Could you imagine that? Would that be weird?
No.
Just like literally, somebody
would pay.
It's just pictures from here.
Honestly, like, you could probably get away with it. You could probably get away with it.
That would be weird. I know it's that would probably be very easy to do.
If you're making $15 a month just to post a picture of your beard, like on a weekly basis.
Interesting. Nope, I'm not gonna do it.
Would somebody? What if somebody was like, "Hey, if I will give you $1,000 if you give me a little bit of your beard, would you do it?"
Yo, I don't know if I could. I don't know.
$1,000, bro.
I mean, like, yeah, but I don't know if that like kind of. I don't know if that would create. Here's the thing, is that would be the easiest shit to do. Right?
Yeah.
Like clearly, and that's why people do it right now. Right? It's like the easiest shit to you gets you a bunch of money. But I feel like, let's say in a perfect world, I create only beards, right, or whatever. I feel like that creates a sense of culture where it's like I don't know. I just don't think that'll change the world in the right direction. Like, and I know it sounds sappy and silly. And I would be the only beneficiary to that, and along with other dudes that
other person,
and stuff.
Yeah.
But like,
that other person
I don't know. That's
benefit.
a difficult question because like, as OnlyFans has done, where it's just like mainly just women that are able to take scantily clad pictures and stuff and get paid for it. or simple tasks for the creator and money that gets, you know, inputted. I don't know. I just think that I don't know. I can't articulate why I don't think that that's the good direction.
That's okay. Let's see what people have to say in chat.
Yeah.
James says, I'll cut the top of my pinky off for somebody if they wanted $1,000 for it. I wouldn't do that. Fuck no. I've almost cut my fucking thumb off. The top of my thumb off, and I'm like, that was on accident. I never would do that on purpose for $1,000. Like, you'd have to give me like, I don't know, like 10K maybe. I think that's reasonable. I feel like content creators that say donate. Oh wait, no, I read that already. Why aren't millennials buying houses? You know why, you dummy. That's true. People still blame millennials, but the people they are talking about are the Zers. Yes. And I suppose that is another symptom of us being so used to capitalism forcing us into work is something you should be happy to do, rather than, I don't know, labor that should be paid. True.
Yeah, put that towards charity stuff. Okay.
Steve's beard retired into the stash and is the porn director of Lee's Beard OnlyFans. Wow, that's some good what's it called? Fan fiction?
Holy
right?
Shit,
fan fiction?
Yeah.
Pivotal juncture. I mean, even so, I don't think it's fair to point out a whole generation say they're the problem when they don't have any real power or influence. True. That's fucking right on the money.
Okay. Hannah Fishy here. You might have been articulating kind of why I'm thinking about it. Yeah, is it from an anti-capitalistic point of view. However, right now I'm all about women today. Yeah, it's an interesting concept of just like it's people generating very easy tasks to get gobs of money. I just don't think I think then it will create a culture of people that are just taking that easy route, and then the people that I don't know. I can't articulate it very well right now, I suppose. I don't know.
That's all right. But they can also talk about the ethics of porn in general, which is why they like people selling their own stuff rather than big porn companies abusing women. True.
Yeah.
Hannah, I wholly support sex work. I just don't think people should be forced into it in order to not starve, and that too. True. Self-commodification is a choice, and one I wholly support if it's a choice being made out of a desire to pursue that versus a choice out of desperation. And that's another question too. Like, would in the current economic climate we're in, are these the reasons why OnlyFans and like these things exist? Is because of the desperation of like not having the money that we need to pay off our school loans and all that other shit.
That's 1,000% it, dude.
Yeah, because I mean that's what you create. You have to create a market, right, to like have that. That's fucking wild.
If we created a financial culture of like two components,
collapse all around. Yeah,
you create one component which is we kill the idea that being rich is the right thing to do. Like, everybody needs to be rich to be successful. Like, we kill that idea, right?
Right.
By taxing the rich, not creating creating more control over what they can and can't spend their money on.
There shouldn't be billionaires.
There shouldn't be billionaires, And although I understand the argument where it's like, well, what about the people that are creating all these yachts and these golf courses and these mansions or whatever? It's like, yeah, but we don't need to do that. We can use those resources in other ways.
True.
And those companies that are making those can make those, that will still make those, right? In some way. So that's one element. And I think that the other element is like, yes, like then everybody else at the bottom and the mid-level, they get better incomes, or they get this universal basic income, because then that creates that lack of desperation just to do literally whatever it takes just to make money. Literally, like selling your clippings of your beard. Which again, it's just that's just like hitting somewhere inside of me. That's like, I don't know.
That's okay.
But I think in general, like, yeah, I don't know how we got on this topic, but good questions and good discussion.
Yeah, we got onto the topic because we talked about selling your beard for selling a piece of your beard for $1,000.
Man, I don't know.
Oh,
we'll see. We'll talk
see
about
what's happening. Yeah, if anybody's in chat,
Steve, if you have
DM
if you have polling technology,
I do. Yeah,
create a poll, right?
Yeah, I do.
Not just for me, but just like, should there be a website that's set up like that?
Only beards, yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is a really great way to thank you guys all for the questions and participating in the discussion here at the end here, and listening to us talk about all of this stuff. Does anybody have any final questions before we wrap up?
Oh yeah.
Anything about us that you'd like to know about? Anything about what we talked about previously that you'd like us to like touch base with again? Tom Welling's boxers from the first episode of Smallville sold for $25,000. Jesus.
What?
That's amazing. Would you sell your underwear
that's
used
crazy.
underwear for $25K?
That's another element. I don't know if I can agree with that.
Easy, dude. Give me some.
I know it's easy. That's the point.
Give me some new Me Undies. I'd create a subscription box service called Steve's Only Pants or something. Think of the charity money. Yeah.
Yeah. If
you
it was
could get
heavily
money for a beard, yeah, for sure.
Like if you were to create an account on said platform, then you have to agree to the point where it's like a portion of this money goes to charity.
Oh, 100%. I'd do like a whole maps thing. Y'all would, if I could. That was honestly like my biggest issue. Holy fucking shit.
What the hell?
Bruh.
Again,
Bella,
dude, this happens
dude?
This happens every single
but that's
time.
264 fucking people, dude.
So I guess we're gonna hang out for a second, I suppose. What's up, everybody? Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Excuse me?
This happens every time on this show. It's like, it's about 9:38 Central Standard Time where Steve and I are.
Oh my God.
And this happens every time that it's normally the tail end of a conversation where somebody will come in with just a good group of people and stuff like that. But I think it's worth kind of hanging out for a second, you know?
Yeah. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, dude.
Hey, Bella. Hi. I don't have a hype command. I literally don't have enough people in here usually for a hype. Fuck me, dude.
Who
Yellow Spoon Girl, Girl, Bella, who's gonna be on the show in a couple weeks.
Yellow Spoon Girl.
Yeah, Bella. If y'all aren't,
spoon.
I didn't have many people in here, but if you weren't following, hold on, really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, holy shit! I guess let me introduce
crazy.
myself. Fuck, dude.
Yeah, dude, do the good deed, man.
I don't know what to do.
Just use that sweet voice of yours, man. Like,
yeah,
just
here.
Give them the
Let me
good
just
word.
introduce myself. Welcome in, everybody. My name's Steve Conkey. I hope you guys enjoy your time here. Holy shit! You can't sub, so fuck off.
If should ever you fall, he's a true and for real true dude in all the land. When he's taking a shower or coming down the stairs, he's always got time for anyone who's there. Yeah, he's the coolest dude. He's got advice for you.
Quick disclaimer.
He's not an expert. Here's a platonic smooch and a wait for you because Conky Talks is here for you.
Welcome in, everybody. Hello, that was my intro. My name's Steve. I try to focus primarily on conversations here on the show. And we were just talking about that article that was released today related to like the toxic cultural environment on Twitch. And we were sharing our own experiences with it and how we felt we could fix it. And just overall, just we're talking about it. Bella, thank you for bringing everybody over here. I try to basically the way I handle the stream is I take phone calls while playing roguelikes. Like we were playing Spelunky 2 on Wednesday and I was taking phone calls and people were calling in and engaging in conversation. Lee joins the show every Thursday and we usually talk over like a scientific article or an article that came out, or we share our own life experience and sometimes takes viewer phone calls. Bella, I hope you had a great stream. I'm sure you did.
Sounds like it was.
Y'all are a bunch of fucking crazy people. This sounds like my kind of place. Well, welcome in. Thank you. There's so many people that came in and like followed, and a lot of people to keep up with. So welcome in. I got platonic kisses for you. Mwah! Wait, one more time. Mwah! Thank you for the follows, guys, and gals and human beings. I appreciate the fuck out of it.
Y'all, let's just keep going with the y'alls.
You're right.
We've had a few of those in chat tonight, and I think it's just let's just make that stick.
Really quick. I just want to. We're in the Q&A section. Y'all just got here, so if you have any questions for us, like fucking tell us what questions you have, even if it's ridiculous, I guess.
Steve, I say like, do we have some like examples of past shows that we've chatted out, or if you want to plug the YouTube channel just to like get people to see some of the past
I'm not
content,
gonna do that shit. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that shit. I feel like anytime if I come in here, if I came into a channel, if I brought like everybody over into like a space and I was like, follow me on YouTube or like, any promotional shit, I'd be like, immediately, fuck you, dude. I'd be like, I don't even know. Like, I just got here. I barely know you, and you want me to follow you everywhere. All I will say is that I focus primarily on conversation in my channel. I try to engage and dissolve the barrier with chat, like between me and chat. And Bella will be talking with us on the 28th. The 28th of this month. So it's going to be awesome. Yeah, I did. I saw that, Oni. Yeah, so does anybody have any questions? We're in the Q&A section of this shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's your boy, Stinklebottom74. Can you imagine if I couldn't even imagine.
Imagine what?
I love the production value so far, so I'd love to follow y'all's content. Well,
this is not like I need to preface that this show is this channel is strictly Steve over here, Mr. Conky Talks
it's just
himself.
Me, yeah.
It really is, and I just so happen to tag on every Thursday for our Exp Talk Show. Again, we just like to talk about kind of wacky, like scientific stuff, some philosophy. Steve and I go on like wild tangents just about every time, and just like because Steve and I are close friends, borderline brothers, if you will. And so we just love to have these chats and like use our ADD to our advantage, just like go down these rabbit holes of discussion, So
true. Thank you for helping me out. I feel like I kind of froze up there. How long have I sporting that lip warmer? A couple years now, right?
Couple years.
Mustache has been like a couple. I'm gonna say like 3 years ish.
It's like a perfect caterpillar,
Yeah, it's good.
That's why
genetics.
you brush it. You got to brush it every day.
Every day, yeah.
Every day.
What's
your favorite yoga pose?
I know it's cliche, but down dog is mine.
Dude, I'm a sleepy baby, motherfucker.
Do you hold your leg? You're talking about?
Yes.
Wow.
Sleepy baby. You hold him like, yeah, dude. That.
Wow.
Oh man, that hip
Sleepy
flexor.
baby's a really good hip flexor. Yeah. The topic we have for stream for Bella later is primarily about her perspective and personal life experience, Decon. So anybody who is a fan of Bella or is just enjoys her content in general, I think you'll really enjoy the conversation, because it's the way I handle conversations around like the channel is not very like informal interview shit. I consider like the show to be ours, so Bella will have leeway to like answer chat and take a look at questions and answer them accordingly and all that. So it's never like a restricted conversation. I'm sorry I missed so many people coming in. I'm gonna scroll back up to see if I miss any. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Did you style your intro video after 90s sitcom like Full House? I did, and a little bit of like Too Many Cooks. We were talking about Pop-Tarts, folks. You guys are weird.
We were talking about Pop-Tarts, like just as you came in.
You got gangbanged by a bunch of viewers, dude. You're not wrong. Okay, I think I caught up. I don't see any questions in the past here. Hold on.
There were a couple. I think there was a couple in there.
Hold on.
Leah. Cutie Pie. Yeah. A while ago, you mentioned you were going to do some telescope stuff, weren't you? Did that ever happen? I am actively still doing that. I've got my telescope. I found out that like my phone mount for my telescope, so I could take like cell phone photos of my telescope stuff, was like delayed in shipping, and it's going to take like another month to get here. So I'm like
Oh,
super
yeah.
bummed.
I remember when I
but for
mentioned
those-
that, you were like, oh shit, I did buy that a while ago. And
Yeah, and I found out, and it was like, oh, sorry about the delay. You'll get it later this month, and I'm like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
But for those that are astronomy aficionados or love to look up, tonight or this week, you've been able to see Mars like closer than it ever has been. Not ever has been, but like in a long time has been.
Yeah.
You can see Saturn, Jupiter right now in the sky. Highly encourage. Oh my gosh, just looking up. Even in the city of Chicago, where there's so much light pollution, I can still use a telescope and see the moons of Jupiter.
That's dope.
It's amazing. It's amazing shit. Space is incredible.
Let's see. I'm a warrior stance motherfucker. Hell yeah, Surge.
Yeah.
Warrior stance is tough, man, after a while,
is tough.
especially after like going through the routine. You mentioned sensory
Happy
deprivation tanks.
fucking baby.
Happy baby pose. That's what it is.
Happy baby.
Yeah.
That's where it's at, dude. Oh my gosh.
You mentioned sensory deprivation tanks in your bio below. Do you actually partake in that and talk about your experience? I did that today, actually. That was part of my like weekend. I started off my vacation last Thursday in a sensory deprivation tank, and I explained a little bit about the experience. This gorilla that you see in the corner, and like my name Conky Talks. Conky is the name of the gorilla that I met in a psychedelic sensory deprivation tank experience when I took an edible. I don't own my own tank, but oh my god, I wish I did. That'd be so fucking cool. Could you imagine me owning a sensory deprivation tank, Lee?
You'd use it every day.
Every day.
I feel like you would use it every day.
I'd use it before bed every time.
You'd run out of salt though.
No, because
That's got to be expensive to maintain.
I don't think so. I don't think
Really?
I'll have to look into it, but I don't think it does. Just put a bunch of salt in your tub and throw a tarp over it.
Perfect.
Actually, they do that. They do make like a
Home kit.
a home kit, like yeah, they do that. James.
That's kind of incredible.
Yeah, it's way cheaper, you know what I mean? But I don't know what that does to your drain or whatever with 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt in it.
know.
Maybe you don't need as much because it's a tub.
It's
of the
almost-
smaller size. I don't know.
It's almost like you can pay somebody else to use theirs.
Honestly, I pay $60 a month to go to my
Yeah.
place. So yeah.
So funny.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
Deacon Devotion. If you guys want to like hear about that stuff, I have it highlighted in my VODs. There's like a Steve's Life thing, and there's like a How I Met the Gorilla, and I explain my sensory deprivation take experience. It changed my fucking
magical.
life. It was a lot of fun.
You were like, I can see, I know kung fu. That was basically your.
Yeah,
That was
so
your
it was
Matrix
like, I
moment.
met myself. Yeah, we
That
would
was your
lose
Matrix
Steve
moment
to
for sure.
nothingness of the tank. I don't know. I honestly like. There is definitely a weird period in sensory deprivation where once you start to get closer to the hour mark and you're getting acclimated to the temperature of the tank, shit gets fucking weird. Okay. And all I want is for my sensory deprivation place
Honk
to
food,
allow me to stay an extra hour. I want 2 hours in the tank because I know that second hour is gonna be fucking weird. That's all I know. Next time
I mean, when you're
LA,
floating in nothing, when you're floating like, and all of your senses are turned off, but your brain.
yeah,
What I would be interested in experiencing, I forgot what they're called, but those hyper soundproof rooms, those like hyper soundproof rooms,
oh, you're
and
talking about
how,
the ones
like-
where you can hear your bones and shit.
where you can like hear like your heartbeat through your ears.
Oh, that's only
Because
in
it's
one.
so-
That's only in one room. They only have
That's what
one
I'm
room
saying.
like that. They have like the quietest room or whatever in the
yeah.
U.S. Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. Like I want to experience that because I
In
feel like it would be
Minneapolis.
something similar. Yeah.
yeah. There you go, Hannah.
Yeah, like that would be incredible because like I think we're all so triggered by all of our senses of taste and smell and touch and sound and
Oh, for sure.
visual nature and stuff like that. So just like when you shut all of those off and you're just in your own thoughts, I think that's such an interesting take on the human brain.
Well, yeah, because
You
like
know?
you don't have it. Yeah, usually your thoughts and like, I don't know, you're swimming in the bullshit. You're swimming in your physicality, your meat
Yeah.
body, and so like it's very easy for you to be like outward, you know, because your senses are outward. You feel, you smell, you taste, blah blah blah. But Sennheiser has one of those rooms too. Cool. But yeah, once you're in the tank, like all of that, once it disappears, everything gets a little bit weird. You start thumbing through the like file cabinet of your mind, sort of thing.
I've got a weird trippy thought for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I'll try to contain this idea here, but so I've always been I've always thought that there is this weird, like, what the equilibrium, like what the teetering point is between like external thought and internal thought. You know what I mean? So, you know, you have like what you're talking about like, you know, your
point?
physical senses.
Are you talking about like a threshold?
There's a line.
Okay.
There's a line in between like, you know, external, like, you know, physical, taste, touch, all that kind of stuff. And then there's the internal, which is just your brain, just like literally just going deeper and deeper inside.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also people that, you know, Steve, you and I are kind of that way too, where it's like, I'm more of the external, like keep thinking, we've talked about this a couple of times, but like, you know, we talk about the external nature of our thought process. Like I love to think as far as humanly possible in the sense of like our physical world, you know, nature, the planets, the solar system, the universe, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So like, I always think outward like that. Yeah. But then I think what's also important, what I think you do more too, is that kind of inner thought, that, you know, that thinking deeper and deeper into your psyche and trying to understand like the human brain a little bit more. Yeah. So, and I also think about, I had a lot of this thoughts between like, believers in science and believers in religion, where it's like, it's the same kind of thing where it's like believers in science want to know everything about the reality, if you will, but they don't necessarily always think about, you know, a potential of a non-reality. Whereas, you know, people that are religious think about that afterlife, think about, you know, the supernatural, this like this extra
spiritual
level. So because there's kind of examples of that all around, and you know, especially in nature and everywhere, it all comes down to that line. Like, what is that line between the physical and the non,
spiritual, you know what I mean? Or non,
like what is that? Like what is that breaking point? For lovers of Westworld, is that the center of the maze?
Yeah.
Is that the center of consciousness? I don't know. I
think it is. I think it's your physicality.
Isn't that, you know what I'm talking about though? Is that like kind of a weird?
It is.
Weird
no. That
process,
I've never really thought about that, but that makes sense. Like where's
that equal point?
Well, think about it, because like your brain has this thing to occupy itself, right? So when you shut off everything on the external aspects of it, where things are tangible, you can't do anything but go inward. So like that is, I mean, your imagination in your mind is like where things are, the impossible becomes possible. It's just like once your physicality dissipates, like you die, I mean, essentially you're left with your thoughts, right? But your brain is alive because of your body and so on, so forth. So like it's a weird duality. Like the line you're talking, the way I think about it is like you're talking about two sides of the same, it's like a quarter, and the line is the ridge. It's part of the same thing, right? So how do you get the quarter to stand up? And I think that sensory deprivation or meditation or whatever like allows you to escape the physical reality you are in, but still be conscious fully. And I think that's why people gravitate towards psychedelics and like, you know, like substances and stuff. Yeah.
It's the experience of like, of like, you know, where can I take my brain?
Yeah.
Consciously. You know what I mean? Like where can I take my conscious brain to places that I've never experienced before? And like, you know, I use things like cannabis to try to look into a deeper realm of things. And also just like my attention span is garbage. So just like to be able to like, you know, hone in and focus on something so in depthly has gotten me to the point where I understand these different levels of things that I would not if I was sober, if you will. Right.
So
I think that there is, again, it's that I've always thought about that. And I always think it's very interesting where it is that kind of like, what's that gap? Like, what's that bridge between the natural and unnatural? You know what I mean? And so I think we're constantly trying to find that. I think there's realms in either spectrum. And I think that is, if anything, dude, it's the yin and the yang. This is where the perfect harmony balance probably comes. This is the light and the dark side of the forest kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where it is the balance of people that think externally and then think internally. I think they're both extremely valuable, but why is it that? Why is there that duality? Why is there that yin and yang? Why is there a balance? Why does there need to be these two components to the natural world that we know of? You know?
Yeah,
This
that's
is the
a
kind
really
of
big
so
question.
for those,
I love these discussions because
so
like
this is the shit that we talk about, and so Steve because Steve and I like we are this is Steve and I are the yin and yang of our lives. You know what I mean?
True.
Like Steve is the yin to my yang, and vice versa, and it's that balance that keeps both of us in check. Steve and I are very open with each other, and we have these discussions, and we're able to just be very natural with each other. So that's what I love about this show and doing this every week is the ability to kind of like find balance and talk about these things and like hold, I'll tell you something to get you to start thinking, and you'll tell me to, get me to start thinking on stuff. And then we just so happen to have people hanging out and watching us. You know what I mean?
Or they
and
contribute to the conversation like Oni's doing right
exactly.
now.
You know, you guys witness our kind of, yin and yang conversation, and then if something grabs out to you where you're just like, oh fuck, dude, that's sick, dude, then would love for you guys
maybe
to keep
not
hanging
like
out
that,
with
but
us.
maybe it is. Yeah, well,
they're probably doing it
did,
internally.
yeah.
Dude, that's fucking rad, dude. But
yeah.
might as well, I think we got a couple comments or chats coming in here.
Hannah, that's really cool that you and me were on the same like wavelength there. That's pretty awesome. It feels like an experience you need to be mentally stable for. I can't imagine doing this when I'm on a bad state already. Are you talking about sensory deprivation breakfast cereal? I love your name, by the way.
That's what I got. I think that's what I got.
I
think that's not wrong. I think that's
agree.
definitely valid.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it honestly depends on the environment too. Like, I've had a bad day and gone to sensory deprivation, but because the environment at the place that I go to is like a spa, like as soon as you enter the room, the energy feels different. Like there's soft music playing. There's like, it's very calming, in general. So, I mean, it's possible that like you could have your mindset shifted knowing that you like paid for a session to go to a spa to relax for an hour and just kind of like get rid of the thoughts, or maybe like engage with those interactions. I talked about it a little bit in the beginning of the stream, but like the nice thing about sensory deprivation is that once you've done it enough, you're able to like observe thoughts that come in as opposed to be. And this kind of comes back to the yin and yang conversation, Lee. Like when like I'm not at the whim of the thought. Like I'm able to observe it because that's all I can do. I can only observe what's happening internally. So like when the thought comes of like judgment or fear or whatever it is, I can actually see it for what it is. Like, why is that there? And then we can and then you can kind of reflect on it and kind of mull it over because you've got the time, What were you about to say? Sorry.
When it manifests, I think it's then you feel like you have more control once you could manifest it.
Right.
And that takes a lot of that, and that takes that element of just you being in your own head for 2 hours floating in water, And so, and I think that's a powerful thing. I think that's a powerful moment to get yourself in of being able to tackle, like, especially if you're in like a bad mental state. I think it could be helpful, but to expand on breakfast's thought here is just like, you can probably be in a very bad state and then like go fucking crazy. You could. It's possible. It's entirely possible. But
they call those, when you say mentally stable, I mean, that can mean multiple things. If you're talking about like mentally unhealthy, like we're talking about like schizophrenic or anything like that.
Yeah,
like,
I'm sure.
I know that when it comes down to schizophrenia, for example, like psychedelics are not recommended because they can trigger a psychosomatic event that causes you to fully transition into like schizophrenia. And that's a scary place to be. So like, I know there's been a lot of like strives in identifying what the genes for those things are. And I don't know what the testing looks like. You'd have to look it up online. I'm not an expert. You guys saw the whole intro. I'm just some dude online who like talks about this shit. But I'm sure like there's tests in place that or things you can do to see like if you're genetically predispositioned to have that or something like that.
Yeah. One thing from Oni here, like definitely a great thought. What are your thoughts on this? Just you do not have free will. Every action is preempted by instinct, followed by subconscious, followed by conscious thought. I totally agree with that. And like Oni, I have a question for you. Have you seen or anybody, have you seen the show Devs before on Hulu? Steve, have you seen this?
No.
Whoa, buddy. So it's incredible. I could not suggest it more, because it kind of goes along those thoughts that you're talking about, Oni, in the sense of like everything is kind of predetermined, and it's almost taking a scientific look at action and reaction, and every sort of interaction with something is led by something else, and so it's a very interesting concept that they materialize in the show. So suggest it. And Steve, again, utilize the legal cannabis and watch that show.
Okay.
it
Hit me with that fucking hit me with that Hulu link, baby.
Dude. Yes.
Yeah, baby.
I don't know how to do it. I'll get it to you. I'll get
Cap
it to you.
Sausages says it's a good show, so you've seen it. That's awesome.
100%. Yeah.
If everything is really just chemicals and reactions and all that, then we're really just matrices of matter, and all of the matter is going to act in the way it's going to act. So yeah.
Heavy.
Interesting. Yeah, it's pretty heavy.
It's heavy shit, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like relinquishing your self-control to the matrices, I guess, is it's a weird thing to be in, because then you're talking about like destiny and like what you're willing to do. And I don't know, man, it's super weird. Like the placebo effect is a real thing. There's a lot of really weird shit out there that like could add to this. But I like to think that we have like some sort of control over what we can do, and how we react to things, and how reality kind of manifests itself in front of us, I guess.
Interesting.
It can appear predetermined, but as a small component of it, it feels as if you have control, or it's reactionary in the moment. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, there's just so much we don't know. There really is just so much we don't know and can't understand. And
very good
our
ending in
education
short
system
series. Oh, is it a short series? Is it like?
Yeah, it's only like 8 episodes or something like that.
Oh, that's so worth watching. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
I love these kind of longer micro series. The same thing as Raised by Wolves is only like 9 episodes.
Yeah.
And it's great. I love these shows that are like really well done science fiction shows that they are doing exactly as science fiction intended, and it's to make you think like, what? Like, that can exist, man? What? Yeah, so it's just fascinating.
That's
It gives you a
awesome.
look at the real world. So,
any other questions before we wrap
Yeah.
up? I seriously, Bella, thank you so much for bringing everybody through, and for everybody who stuck around and engaged in conversation and all these follows. Like, I really appreciate it. It's I don't know, it's fucking humbling. So thank you all for sticking around and engaging in conversation. That's what we try to do here. The old razzle dazzle.
I love it. Yeah, this was super fun. I appreciate everyone just kind of, I know like you were asked to drop into the show by somebody else, but I appreciate those that stuck around with us and kind of like contributed to our micro conversation that we had here. But we again try to have these discussions over time every week. 7:30 Central, every Thursday usually is what we try to strive for, and we try to talk about these kinds of interesting mental thought and looks at the natural world, the unnatural world, and just converse, man. Just
That's
talk
it.
about it.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
I appreciate everybody.
So thank y'all for coming in. Make sure y'all got notifications turned on. Like I said, we'll be talking with Bella on the 28th. If you want to stay updated with the show, there's the Twitter, her socials rather, and there you go.
Hell yeah, dude.
Lee, thank you for staying on a little bit later. I really appreciate that, dude. Thank you
for sure
helping me like through this. I feel like I froze up there for a moment, and you were like, "All right, I'm gonna do this." Yeah,
I'm virtual. Like, dude, let's hold hands between the two screens.
Yeah,
the two windows.
Wait,
am I over here? Wait, am I over? You need to split screen it. Okay, it's over here. Hands together. Hold on, let's try it. Wait. Yeah. See, we're one and the same, dude. You're the yin to my yang.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you.
Oh, no.
We tried. That was strange for a second, but you know what I mean?
No, it's okay.
I appreciate everybody being here. This is super fun. Super fun way to end the night for sure.
Let me bring y'all over to somebody I'm sure you're familiar with. I can't imagine Bella hasn't brought you over here, but if not, you're in for a fucking treat. I'm going to bring y'all over to the Atomic Twins.
Uh-oh.
The Atomic Twins, Ryder and Charlie are some of my favorite content creators on Twitch. They're some of the best improv comedy people ever. That's the best thing I can say. I don't have a raid message or anything. Let's just get in there and let's hope they're having a great night. I guess my raid message will be like, thank you for having us, you hunks. There you go. There's a raid message. Hunks, man, yeah. All right. Everybody's a hunk. Thank you again for being here. Thank you, Lee, for participating in the conversation and always engaging in my thought process. And thank you all for being here. I appreciate the fuck out of you. Okay.
Hell yeah, dude. Smooches, y'all.
Smooches, snoogans.
Boinkers.
No. We agreed. No boinking.
I know. No boinking. No, I'm sorry.
We'll see y'all. I'll see you all on Saturday morning for some yoga if you're up for it. Let's go over to the Atomic Twins.
Yoga and cartoons.
Yoga and cartoons. All right. Love you guys.
Hell yeah. See y'all.
Mwah!
So tight.
Whisper in their ear at night.
You're gonna love this.
Yeah,